Welcome to another courageous conversation. My name is Santosh Venamalla, and today in conversation with us is Dr. Latha Christie, a scientist with the Defense Labs of the Indian government, a position that she's earned from 35 years of hard work. But our focus today is going to be on a personal struggle that she has overcome, something that has brought her to a position of reaching out to others with a helping hand. Welcome, Dr. Latha Christie. During the conversation over the next few minutes and period of time, I'm going to focus on two pivotal moments. Let's start with the first one. The moment when you decided that this life is not what you wanted and maybe you're better off not living it. What drove you to that point of giving up on life?
When I was young, I was a girl with low self-esteem. Even when I was in school, when the teacher asked everyone, what would you become? Everyone said doctors, engineers, and I said housewife. It's not because I don't like cooking. It's because I thought I won't get something out of it. That's why that's this level of mindset I had. So I had read the Bible except a few Psalms and John 14 and others. That's all I have read. And though I am a Christian, I from the beginning, I have not known about my God. So I never knew that I am so beautifully, uniquely created in those days. So I was also very naive in those days. And so finally, when I got married and got into violence, I thought that this because of growing up in a patriarchal culture, I thought this is the situation every woman faces. And might be I would have enabled it also because I was very submissive. I decided I have to do everything what someone asked me to do. And so I allowed myself to be the doormat and I was walking on eggshells. And it was like my life was like a roller coaster ride. Someday great and someday down. And I was going crazy. There were moments when I could not sleep. There were days and there were moments when I thought that I'm just like a vegetable, that I'm not existing at all. I was thinking if there is a God whom I love so much, because I used to write everywhere, Jesus is my lover. That's what I used to write from my younger days. He should come to my rescue. So he should have put me in a proper place. That's what my mind thought.
When you say proper place, I'm going to just go back two steps. When you were getting into a married relationship, what were you coming with? What did you think you were stepping into?
I was not having a great idea of marriage. It was like just someone who was ready to change everything for my sake. I thought that is love. I never had a proper plan for marriage. I never prayed for my marriage. I never had any of those things. It was just like my parents finally arranged everything. But I never planned that I should pray and marriage will be like this. I was very naive. I was quite innocent those days. I could have prayed more. I could have waited upon the Lord. I could have asked Him how it should be, and that is the way now I understand how everybody should enter into, because it's a lifelong commitment and it's the one which God Himself designed in the Garden of Eden, and it is a wonderful relationship. We should never ever be broken. So to get into that one, how much preparation to be done. I was not knowing anything, and even no one taught me those things. So now coming back to that one, I suddenly started blaming God. God was not the reason, but in my mind, I started blaming God because I prayed and I went to many people and asked them to pray for me. And many religious leaders even said that might be somebody has kept a witchcraft for you, and so you can pray more, you can fast more. So I did everything. So I was even trying to see who could have kept the witchcraft for me. So finally, nothing worked. And so I decided, if there is a God who is so good, who is so powerful, who is so loving, then he should intervene in my situation. And that means I'm not praying hard. Might be something is wrong in me. I should have done some more. So guilt, not able to, capable of praying up to that situation, blaming myself. And so all these things put a terrible pressure on me. And I had two beautiful little boys, and looking at them, I leapt. But sometimes it was too difficult for me to think of them alone. And so I started walking towards the railway crossing. I was praying that if some vehicle would come and hit me, or some snake would bite me, or in some way I would end my life. Because at one point when I was in one of the airport, I just looked up to the sky and told God, God, if you exist, if you really exist, why don't you come down and show yourself to me? And are you really good? Or you're like my stepfather? Or you're like a distant uncle? You listen to the prayers of everyone, but not me. But when I prayed for others, it was happening. But it was not happening for me. So I was a little confused. That was the situation of mine that time.
So I'm saying, the way I'm hearing it is, at that moment in time, there are two things running in your mind. One is, I'm living a life that I was not meant to be. I can't bear this anymore. And even if you're looking at a solution, you don't see anything. You didn't know where to go beyond this. And whatever little attempts you made in reaching out to church leaders or pastors did not yield any result, and hence you were left hopeless. Is that where you found yourself?
It's some is from my side, because I did not know that I was going through abuse. I never heard of the term called abuse, and I asked my parents. They used to cry and pray for me. They never wanted to intervene, because for our culture, marriage is everything, and divorce is the worst sin. So, putting through that, I didn't want my sisters or brothers to get into problems because of India married life. I felt it's a shame to divorce. So I thought, why to put them across to this? So let me bear. And then there was no way out, because I thought I can never come out, and I'm trying to change the things which is beyond my control, which I am trying to control, but it's not coming under my control. And I'm looking out to people, and no one is there for me. I'm thinking if somewhere somebody will come and rescue. Nothing was happening. So I was at the dead end, and that's when I thought, okay, somewhere if I die, there will be a situation out of it.
Interesting. You said you were not even aware that you were being abused. So what were the initial red flags? What made you feel something is off? And you mentioned a couple of times that you pushed them, saying, maybe this is what it is. Maybe I'm seeing it wrong. What was your mindset in just brushing these things off and saying, maybe these are small things, before they escalated to become bigger and harder for you to bear?
It is not that way. Different people have different red flags, and I have seen in many of the victims whom I have counseled, there were a lot of red flags. People confuse love with pity. Somebody is ready to die for them on their sex or marry, and then abuse. Some people it escalates. For some people it is constant from the beginning. It's emotional, it's physical, it's financial, in every way. So it, as you know, that it has a cycle. That's why we stay, because sometimes we feel that the situation can change. The person can be so good, and actually, the people who abuse are not bad people. They abuse, they just because of control they do it. So the victims are not able to explain their situation to anyone. Because everybody says that he might be the best person. So when you tell to the people around, you might wonder whether they will believe you or not.
Correct.
And so there is no way out for an abuse victim out, I would say, till they believe. Because in my life, somebody in one newspaper cutting, somebody left on my office table, and I was just going through that. Then I understood, so many people are going through this. I thought I am the only person who is going through this. And when I read that paper, it was, I found there is a pattern. I found many people are going through that, and something what I'm going through that is not right. And I read that newspaper, I understood that no one should tolerate such things. That's when I thought that this is not right, what's happening to me.
One of the major reasons that abuse victims stick around in the relationship is because they're not financially independent. But you were. You had a career and you were doing well for yourself. So you knew how the world works and you knew that you could put your foot down like you would do at work and saying, this is what I can do, this is what I cannot do. And you decide what happens from day to day. So how did you feel that you did not act on the same impulses when it came to your personal life?
I was not confident enough to handle my finances, so I just handed over everything. So I did not have money in my hands, and I was also not knowing how to cross the road, how to do things outside. I know how to come back home to the work and then go to work and then come back. So I was not financially stable because I did not have in my hand whatever I had. So that is one more reason. And I was, as I said, I had low self esteem. I was not able to live my own life. Might be I was quite naive, and I decided that I don't have capability to handle finances, capability to drive my own car, capability to handle my life, to live alone, even to be alone anywhere. So those sort of low self-esteem made me to be there.
Strangely, you were earning, just that you didn't have control over it. And I'm going to connect that to what you said earlier on, saying abuse at the core of it is about control. So you gave up control of what you could manage. Would you say that because you were more trusting and said, he's going to take care, I don't really have to. So if someone is taking care of it, I'll just do my job. And then you figure that sometimes you feel like it's too late to try and wrest back the control.
That can be true because many of the ladies in Indian household, we believe that everything the other person should handle because we are just there to cook and help and take care of the household and to take care of the husband and the children and the work environment. So that's all. As a normal traditional wife, I was there.
Right. So from that point of despair to where you are today, it happened because of another moment where you received hope. Could you tell us more about that when your life turned around?
Yeah, I got hope when I was totally hopeless. I was hopeless in my situations because almost 2 years I've never slept. I used to get sleep only around 3 to 4, and then I had to get up. I used to look up at the other houses and see how everyone could sleep, but not me. I was having the fear of future. Fear gripped me. I didn't want to live, but I had to live now. So I used to look up at the stars and wonder if the God could, if there is a God, He could keep the planets and orbit stars in its place. Will He not be able to manage my little life? And then sometimes I used to get sleep thinking of that. And in this situation, when there is no way, nobody could give me hope, I decided it's better to die. And that time I was doing my PhD, and I had to write my comprehensive exam. So when I was writing my comprehensive exam, I got high fever, and I had to do my housework, I had to take care of the children, I had to study, and all these things never made me go to the hospital. I went on taking Crozin, one day 5, 6 Crozins. And then one day my brother, who is a cardiologist, he called me, and when I was speaking to him, I was just breathing and panting so heavily. So he said, go and do some test. So when I went and did, they at once sent me in an ambulance to Malia Hospital. So while I went to Malia Hospital, they found that one of my lung had already gone. So they decided they'll give me antibiotics to stop it, but nothing worked. And finally, they had to put me on a ventilator. So when I was wheeled to the ventilator, I never bothered. Anyhow, my aim was to die. So they wheeled me to ventilator. When I was there on that ventilator, at one point I saw a vision that I'm falling down and some hand was holding me. And till that time, I was thinking that I'm the best person in the whole world. Because whatever I did, I never tried to do bad to the people around me. But while I was there, when I saw the vision, every mistake I had done from my small days came in front of me like a movie. And I saw the cross of Jesus and the blood of Jesus coming and covering my sins. And I heard a crystal clear voice, I'm giving you a new life. It came 3 times. And I was in that ventilator. My hands were tied to the cot, and through my mouth there was a big tube. Everywhere there were tubings. So that time I felt some presence surrounding me all the 5 days, as though a mother embracing a child. It was an awesome presence. And I came home. My mother had given me a Tamil Bible. There was a Gideon Bible, and everything was in a corner. I took it up. I started reading the Bible. Each and every verse came in front of me to speak to me, because in my house it was not a Christian home. I was not allowed to read the Bible, so I used to get up early morning, 3:30, with so much desire to read it, and I used to dance around in the garden. I come to the garden alone. He walks with me, he talks with me, and he tells me I'm his own. And this love of Jesus changed me. My physics changed in 2004 March when I was put on ventilator. Might be I would have looked much older. So after that, so many years, almost 18 years have passed. And I feel I'm becoming better emotionally, physically, and I'm able to enjoy my life. So this is because the God of the Bible is living in our heart, this power of the Spirit in me. Even though, see, for example, you see some dolls, we call it as Tanjavur Bommai in Tamil. So it falls down, but it automatically climbs up.
Correct.
Because it has a weight inside that.
Correct.
Whatever time you push it down, it stands up. So the weight of the Holy Spirit, which is in me, the hope of glory, the Christ in me, the hope of glory, whatever things that puts me down, stand up, because that is the power that God gave me. And that is when I understood, whatever reason I faced trouble, I don't want anyone else to face. Because I was ignorant, I was not knowing the love of God, I was not knowing the power of God. It was purely my mistake, I would say. I enabled everything. I never put a boundary. You have to have a clear boundary of what you want, what you did not want. Because boundaries are so important. You cannot allow anyone to trespass that boundary. And you are made in the beautiful image of God. You cannot have a low self-esteem. That's when you allow people to treat you as a doormat. And it is not their mistake, I would say. It's my mistake. So,
would you say that you actually attempted to draw some boundaries and they were not respected? Or were you just unaware that you needed boundaries?
I never knew I had a boundary. It was just an enmeshed boundary, you would say.
Right.
That you don't know where is the line, because you are enmeshed into another person. Because you believe that somebody else have to take care of you, have to do everything for you. That's what the Indian society teaches. That
the Cinderella syndrome.
Yeah, Cinderella syndrome. But Cinderella syndrome is like you will get a Prince Charming who will come and take care of you, everything. So it's not that way for me. It's like you don't have a boundary. You don't know what is right for you, what is wrong for you. And because you don't think that you are great. You don't think that you amount to something. You think that you are no one. You can be considered as a doormat. But I understood that I am so beautifully made. I am made for excellence. Afterwards, when I knew that I'm made for excellence, I did Bible studies, because I wanted to preach. I wanted to tell about this God to everyone. I used to stand up on my balcony and I used to preach, because I came from a Catholic background and I took baptism later. But in those days, we study about this Saint Anthony speaking to fish and all those things. So I wanted to tell this gospel, this Lord who changed me. I used to stand in the balcony early morning, 4 o'clock, and preach around. So then I decided, then I was seeing everywhere male preachers. Then someone came and said in my church that in those days women were not educated. That's why Bible says that women should not preach or speak. If you are educated, if you study Bible, if you go in depth and you become a theologian, you can also preach. That's when I decided. I went to Southern Asia Bible College, Bangalore, SABC, and I did my Master of Divinity. I was the first distance learning student. My picture is still there. I felt it was too tough for me more than my PhD. So many subjects you have to study, reading assignment, writing assignment, I completed. Then I thought people will call me to preach. No one called me. Then I thought, okay, let me do my MA Christian Studies. Then because I can do my PhD, so I did my MA Christian Studies. Then I applied for PhD. I didn't get permission that time. Then I did my apologetics course, my counseling course from US on abuse victims and alcoholism, everything by 2016. I completed even my international diploma in project management, my PhD. So with all the degrees, then I just one day was returning back from a pastor. I am a pastor with the Assembly of God. They don't call women as pastors, they call us Bible women. So I returned back, and whenever we go that, I see only males in the leadership position. So I was wondering, God, you brought me up from that to this much. For what? What am I supposed to do? What's the purpose in my life? Then I was crying and returning back. And when I prayed next day morning, when I got up next day morning, God told me three things. You're looking to humans for everything. Look to me, I am your Jehovah Jireh. And then he said, get up in the morning, sit at my feet, try to listen to my voice. And are you doing your ministry or my ministry? If it is mine, I will direct your path. That's when next 6 months I got up at 4:30, walked around my apartment, did prayer walk, I prayed, and I learned to listen to his voice. It's beautiful to listen to the voice of the God who created us. Sometimes we think that this is available for only few people, but God speaks to everyone. So I learned how to listen to his voice. And then, within 1 year, I went across all denominations to preach. They used to book flight tickets everywhere around. I went and preached. I spoke in various colleges, and it was just an open field for me. And I did not have time at that time because of working. So this way, God started my ministry by making me to sit at his feet and listen to his voice.
But while all of this was going on, you still had your personal life situation to deal with. So this hope that you found in Christ, which led you to many other accomplishments, how did that translate to courage in your personal life and make a decision to change things on that front?
I did not have courage to move out. And as you know, moving out is also very difficult. It's not that easy. My patriarchal society and in my culture, my family, no one was for that. And so I had also faced situation where that I am not the only person in someone's life. So I was so depressed at that time. I asked God, what you want me to do? Then I went to a place. At that time, I knew only Bethesda Center in Coimbatore. So I took a train or something, and then I stayed there for 5 days. I fasted and prayed, God, what am I supposed to do? Because one of the pastor even said, even if you're killed, it's okay, but you cannot come out.
So he was asking you to stay irrespective of what happens.
Yes. So that is the way people were telling me, and except one of my Bible college teacher who explained me that I have all the rights, biblical way to come out. So there were many contradicting advices. So I went there, I told God, you said not to look to men or to look to you, your face. And then I came back. Again, I prayed for another 1 year. So God clearly gave me so many verses after verses that I need to move out. And then I slowly moved to a place, and I developed slowly, and then I purchased a car. In the first year, I had 5 accidents, and slowly I told God, you are going to drive my car, and I learned driving. In that way, I developed my confidence level, and slowly I myself applied for mutual divorce, and because I did not have money. I myself went to net and I studied and I applied as paying as minimal fees to the court, and somehow God was there in everything, and God helped me to come out of everything in a easier way, in a beautiful way.
So when you stepped out, if you can go back to the very first day that you were on your own, what did it feel like as opposed to what your life was over the past few years? What was, not just one, what were the things that suddenly hit you like, I mean, I didn't know life could be like this? What were your first experiences?
I don't know. When I had the divorce papers in my hand, I just cried. God, for this sake, why I stayed for 25 years, 20 years and more? I didn't want this one. I thought you would change the situation, and I was scared. I was scared to live because I have been living a single life for almost 15 years. It's not an easy life. I was scared initially to live alone. I was scared of demons. I was scared of thieves. I was scared of, I used to get up in the night and go and look up all the doors. And I was having post-traumatic stress disorders. And I struggled a lot. Single life is not that easy because you never knew how to cross the road. You never knew how to handle finances. And it's slowly, like a baby learning to walk. God taught me how to do my things, and I learned in a difficult way. And that's why I just tell people that God is there for the victims. He loves the offense. He loves the people who are not having anyone support. God is not for the powerful. God is for the oppressed. When Jesus came into this world, he was against Pharisees, but he went for the Samaritan women. He went towards the adulterous woman whom people wanted to stone her, and helped her. And he acknowledged the sinful woman who opened the alabaster box on his feet. So God reaches out to everyone who are alone. So I feel if you are struggling in your life, you have a powerful God who wants to reach to the deepest pit. Nobody will be able to reach the deepest pit you are in, but God's hand is long enough to reach. That's what I understood, because when I also, last 5 years, my second son is a medical doctor. So he was telling that everything came through evolution, and might be it's a random chance. I thought, let me study so that I can discuss with him. That is the reason I started to understand how this universe came, whether everything came by evolution. I studied biology, cosmology, geology. I was mad in taking so many books all the time whenever I came from the work. And finally, when I wrote this book, Beyond the Boundaries of Science, Exploring the Cosmic Story, I understood the God I serve is so powerful. If he can keep all this 2 trillion galaxies in the right place, he can do anything in my life. He can bring. So that is when gave me the confidence. I'm now wanted to make a movie, a science fiction movie in international level. It's called as Perfect Accidents. He will provide the finances. He will provide everything. So that level God brought me from, I am not knowing how to do it, to think that I can myself make a science fiction movie in the world level. To think, I haven't made, but to think that way, it is amazing. Even my journey, I feel it's really amazing. And God also helped me to show that I can write. I never knew I can write. But when I wrote, initially when I came out of this abuse and others, he put a thought in me to write this book, When the Flame Flickers, Emerging from Marital Abuse. I told when I was writing all the things, it was painful. I one day threw my book. I said, God, I cannot write. I cannot write. Then again, next day, something used to force me to write. And finally, one day I said, I don't know any publishers, nothing. What is the use? So God was speaking to me, you write. I will take then everything forward. And finally, SciEx came forward and my book was published by the first one. And even in international level, both of my books are published. So this author, whether I can be an author, everything God taught me. My journey is a journey with God, a walk with God. A walk with God through the fire. That's what David says in Psalm 23. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. That's a verse for every victim.
While it was a personal victory for you to be able to make a decision, to work on it, act on it, and walk out, get your paperwork, um, there must have people on both sides, people who've said, you go for it, Latha, you can do this. And people who would have said, no, this is wrong, you should not do like that, and try to pull you back. What was that journey like? I mean, were you happy people were on your side? Were you disappointed or angry at people who said, no, this is wrong, you just have to put up with this for the rest of your life?
Actually, God sent a lot of people. My pastor's son at that time, he was like a brother to me, and he helped me in many ways. He's the one who introduced me to SABC. He's the one who told me to preach initially, and to help me to drive the car, so many things. And my brother was a cardiologist. He stood with me and he read the book, Why Can We Change Violent Men? And he spoke. My parents also, after that, they came forward when they knew the situation. So my sisters. So all of them helped me. And but the thing is, so there were some senior leaders who said that it is not right, and that's when it was difficult. I understand their views could be different. People can have different views. So I'm not angry at them. Might be God used all those situations to make me what I am. I don't want to blame anyone, but there were people who helped me.
Now, with all of these experiences that you've had and your ability to eventually take action and build your life from scratch all over again, you are now reaching out to similar victims of domestic violence. This initiative called Deborah Rise. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Actually, in March 2020, when this COVID was on its high peak, 21 days we had a lockdown. So I was just praying. I was worried about the doctors in my family and all those people who are working with COVID victims. And that time, God was telling me this verse from Judges. Rise, Deborah, rise, Deborah. Those verses were coming in my mind. I was not able to understand what is this. Then I called few of my friends. Maybe we need to form a prayer team, and we started praying. And we found that many people were without food, were without things at that time on the road. So we collected money, almost some 5-6 lakhs among us, and then we sent provisions and food across the thing. So then that started the social work. Then we saw many people dying of depression, and domestic violence was at its peak because of the COVID, and everything was a complete lockdown. So that's when we decided, those who are interested to pray and counsel, let's have a helpline number. So we purchased a helpline number, even it is working now, 8801858585. So through this number, we have in 4 languages, English, Hindi, Kannada, and Tamil. So people can call us either for prayer or for counseling. So we got a set of counselors and prayer warriors who can voluntarily help. They can do from their home, from their mobile. And slowly we developed an app. We developed a powerful app. We gave around 1 lakh to a person, and we developed it. Through this, people across the world can contact us for counseling, for prayer, for social service. And we started a series of talks to make this thing. So we have around 1,000 people, then men, women, everyone joined us. And we started this Lifeline Connect series, where we talked about a series on domestic violence, a series on apologetics, and different topics. And we propagated this helpline number and this web app, what we had. So this Deborah Rise is not an organization, it's just a movement. We connect with various NGOs who are similar field, who wants to support abuse victims. But recently we have taken a house where we wanted to train the people freely for sewing and for computers. So we have around 5 computers and 5 sewing machines, with tying with another NGO. And in that house we have some few beds and others, where if a girl wants to protect unwed mothers, I would say, protect their child, we can keep them there for 9 months, help them to deliver the child, and then send them back. and we can connect the child to some people who would take care. And also we have we thought we'll have them for 1 month, any abuse victims with us, to counsel and to pray, and then connect them to shelter homes. So this is the plan we have at present for abuse victims, and we have a good set of counselors for various, for child, for abuse, for alcoholism. So this is the way everything is voluntarily, freely you have received, freely you give. So that is a motto behind it. And so if any NGO would like to join with us and connect with us, we are happy to work with them. So with this, I would say that God uses our pains to build up somebody else. Sometimes we think that we have struggled a lot, but God will use that to benefit many, many, many people. So today, if you had been going through abuse is not normal. If someone takes your power, even your voice, your freedom, even if they do with their fist or with a bouquet, it's abuse. So never tolerate abuse, and stand for the victim, believe the victim, trust the victim, and God is always for the oppressed. So let's do our work, even a small talking about it, or for example, like ring the bell movement. Many things have helped. So let the abuse victim know that society is for them, community is for them, and they can safely come out of their dangerous paths. Thank you.
Dr. Latha Christie, thank you so much for sharing your personal life and giving so much encouragement for those who might be looking for help out there. Stay safe, know what you deserve in life, and ask God for it. God bless you.